Hello and welcome to the Teacher's Staff Room. Today I have a brilliant resource to share. I developed this a few years ago now. The concept can be used with different qualifications and different levels. Therefore, if you are teaching a course which doesn't quite fit with my resource, then be creative and put your own spin on it. So, what is Biscuits of Learning? It's a fun way of introducing students to the different command words. It is essential that they're able to master these to show their knowledge and understanding, particularly to progress to the higher skills levels in their qualifications, i.e. pass, merit, distinction criteria. I will talk you through the resource, which you could also use in class by muting me and pressing pause at the relevant slides. Please check out my other content, like and subscribe so you will get my latest videos. So, Biscuits of Learning, know your command words. You will need to prepare for this particular resource by purchasing some different varieties of biscuits. I would say make it quite interesting, some chocolate, some not chocolate, but it does help to have quite a few different varieties, just obviously because we're going to be using command words which potentially they're going to be comparing biscuits against biscuits. And if you are recreating, of course, you do not need to use biscuits. You could use another item such as sweets, cakes, drinks, items of clothing, things like that. So the lesson aims and objectives is to understand the assessment criteria for the qualification the students are undertaking, develop the use of command words and study skills, and analyse their own study skills and prepare for their learning. I tend to use this resource as an induction resource at the beginning of the year, but I've also used it during the year as well, particularly if I have delivered the exam units first and then going on to the coursework. So sometimes I do change round how I deliver the different qualifications, and therefore I may use it at least twice a year. So yeah, really great. And again, what I would do is just change the item. So first of all do biscuits, next time do sweets. Nobody minds because they get to eat the items at the end anyway. So to start with, this is a little starter. What am I? So I'm going to do it slightly paused, just so that if you are using this video with me on mute, you have time to sort of stop and start so that students can guess as we go along. By now, you've probably had some really interesting answers. You may have had one or two guess by this stage. And certainly by now, we're nearly there. So there you go. What am I? And hopefully if you have been playing along, then yes, it is a jammy dodger. So after this starter, what we then do is bring up this particular slide and get students to read through the different command words and to try and work out which command word was just being used on that previous task. And the answer, of course, is list. So write a list of the main items, but not in sentences. And just to let you know as well, this is pass criteria. And that is why these command words are so important, because in order, obviously, to progress to merit and distinction, you have to have passed your pass criteria. So it is really about getting to grips, not just with the command words, but knowing what they mean. Then what we're going to do is individually bring up command words, and it's at this stage that you ask students to select 2 or 3 of your biscuits. Before we do that, this is just a little thing that we then tell students, that when they're writing, they're always to think biscuits, because sometimes they're going to get complex exam questions, they're going to get complex criteria from the awarding bodies in which they have to write about different topics, particularly if you have done Unit 17, Responsible Business Practices. That one can be quite tricky. And so we always say, think about your biscuits, and that immediately takes them back to this activity, and they're then able to think about it logically as if it was a simple object, and then they're sort of flying in terms of them being able to apply it to a business scenario in the right way, using the right command word, obviously. So these are the command words. So individually, you bring up the different command words. Now you will see that there's some little text at the top as well that says Level 2 Business. This means that it also appears in Level 2 qualifications, so you can use this for Level 2 and Level 3. On this particular command word, I would get them to justify why they picked those particular biscuits. Just as a sort of starter to get them really thinking about how to write and how much to write. Then once they have completed that, if you want to continue on the lower level command words, then we have assess. So they're going to look at evaluating the advantages and disadvantages of the particular biscuits. We then have plan, and again this is on Level 2 criteria as well, so it may well be that they are planning to improve the biscuit at this point. So what would they do to design, create, build another biscuit, for example? Then the most common one, explain. So yes, this is widely used across Level 2 and Level 3. Make your point clear by providing sufficient detail. Now, to get that sufficient detail, we do use a strange acronym. We use point, explain, example. That is our standard explain acronym. And obviously it spells out P, which they find quite funny. So we do end up saying just P all over it. So by all means, you can steal that if you want. But we find by point, explain, example, they're getting enough out in their writing, and you're not left afterwards kind of looking at the gaps in the writing and wondering, you know, what is missing. So yeah, feel free to use that acronym. Demonstrate. Now this actually appears in Level 2 IT, and if you're using this on any other qualification and it's relevant, then what you could do is get them to demonstrate how to eat a biscuit without getting crumbs on the table. That's a particular skill. Or not getting chocolate around their mouths, things like that. So yeah, just again, use whichever command words suit you at the point you do the activity. Communicate. Again, this comes up in the Level 2 IT criteria, and it is about them communicating the information about their biscuits. And even though it doesn't, I think, appear in the Level 3 criteria, they do need to do the role play and communicate in the Unit 4 Customer and Communication unit. So again, it might be just a nice icebreaker to get them to have a discussion with their partner next to them, detailing the information about the biscuits they have chosen. And then another common one, describe. Again, it picks up in the level 2 IT criteria, and giving a full description, including details of all the relevant features. And a lot of students do get very, very confused between describing and explaining. So really need to hone in on the differences between those two command words for sure. Now we scaffold up. So once they have mastered some of those or all of those command words, which are past command words, we then scaffold up to the level 3 criteria in terms of the merits. Okay, so this is the analysing one. So again, if you've got more, if they've got more than one biscuit, they can analyse the biscuits, compare them. What's the advantages of one compared to another? How do both biscuits relate to the topic of biscuits? You know, are they both chocolatey or both got jam or what have you, or both round? So yes, well, however you see fit, it's a way of practicing those analysing skills. Then we are moving up to the evaluation skills. So we're talking about distinction criteria now, which once they've carried out some analysis on their biscuits, you're going to bring it all together and make a judgment on the importance of something. So again, it might be the importance of having a biscuit that you can dunk in your tea, might be the importance of particular ingredients, it might be the importance of how the biscuit looks in terms of its aesthetic, you know, is it appealing, that type of thing. However you see fit on using your biscuits, but you are going to get them to attempt to evaluate. And then the last one at level 3, which is distinction criteria, is recommend. So suggest changes or improvements. So a nice one, obviously, to apply to biscuits. It's quite a creative task, actually, that one. And they really do enjoy that. Now, at that point, they're probably thinking, why am I writing about biscuits? Well, actually, what we do say to students is, once they have mastered the writing with the biscuits, we will then bring in a particular topic or scenario for them to actually apply it to a business context or an IT context or whatever the subject is. So it may well be that it could be, for example, during induction, it's the first business lesson, and it's going to be a case of what is a business? And again, using each of those command words, moving up those levels, they're then going to attempt to actually write that. And again, through observation and obviously checking and understanding, any questioning, you can check to see the progress. It's also good to spot people who potentially may have problems in their writing as well, so that you know it's sort of an indicator moving forwards. And then we come to the self-assessment. So at this point, the students have done some writing, you've then applied it to your own topic, and now they have to think about where they are in terms of their writing. So it's going back through the criteria. What more do you need to know? So what you will find is it's a bit like the traffic light system. So you'll have people that feel extremely confident about writing for past criteria. You're going to have some that are okay with the analysis but probably need a little bit more help, and the same for the distinction criteria. And that's where you can then start to bring in about being an independent learner and doing more around the subject outside, practice exam questions, have a practice writing out part of the assignment before you write it up and neat. So all of those things that are going to strengthen those study skills and obviously move those students through those criteria so they're able to achieve high grades. Then the develop one, could you practice? I think I've kind of just covered that. So yes, could they practice? Absolutely. Give them some practice questions, give them practice assignments from previous years. And we have theme workbooks as well. So if you have theme workbooks, get them to practice in their theme workbooks. And then Are they now prepared for learning? So that's about them kind of, are they confident? Do they know everything that they need to know, particularly if they're about to start assignment work? Are they ready now to start that assignment work? Again, there's lots of resources online on the OCR website. In particular, if you have a textbook from OCR, it is worth scanning Unit 1 and either giving the students a copy or putting it onto your own Moodle site, and therefore they can read around the subject in their own time and understand the criteria maybe a little bit better than what it is displayed in an assignment brief, because it can be quite daunting when you see all the tasks. So that is the end of this particular resource. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you do try it out and you like it, then please put a comment below, because there's nothing I wouldn't like more is to obviously have some feedback on whether you found this useful, whether you feel that it was a task that was worth doing. So yeah, please obviously like and subscribe as well, and I will see you next break time. Goodbye.